Hi everyone, Shalom Aleichem. Thank you for joining us. Hoping all is well. Hoping everyone's hearts are calm. Everyone's excited for Yutes Kislev and a bunch of other things. Excited for Shabbos, but even just excited to be learning together. Ashreinu, 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 Ashreinu. Okay. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Dee 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 dee. Oh, do 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 do. Da dee dee. Ah yeah. Da dee do 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 do. ואף על פי שיתמהמה עם כל זה חכה לו בכל שיבוא. ואף על פי שיתמהמה עם כל זה חכה לו בכל שיבוא. בכל יום עם כל זה אחכנו בכל יום שיבוא. אני מאמין אוי בכל יום שיבוא. עם כל זה אחכנו בכל יום שיבוא. אני מאמין. דו 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 שיבוא. עם כל זה אחכנו בכל יום שיבוא. אני מאמין. So we have Baruch Hashem, we released this earlier this week. We released our Hanukkah schedule, and we have a lot happening on Hanukkah, Baruch Hashem, which we're very excited about. And we're also going to be releasing later today, later this evening, later tonight, our Yutes Kislev programming as well. We have a really exciting program for this Sunday night, and there's just so much that Hashem keeps on opening, the doors that Baruch Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom keeps on opening for us, and we just pray that we give each other the koyach to keep on walking through these doors. And because you never know, you never ever know who's waiting to walk in with you, but they're just waiting for another hand. So I would like to sing for you one more niggun before we start learning. And I just want to make sure I found the name that tonight's shir, someone just messaged me, and they sponsored tonight's shir in memory of Marlene Ray Bas Frankie K. Marlena Ray Bas Frankie K. Neshama should have an aliyah and a lot of nachas and simcha for. There should be nachas and simcha for this person's family. Ad. So this is the niggun that people have been asking. We haven't sung it for a while. I think it's a perfect time for it. It's Erev Shabbos. I love this niggun. בעיני למאיה אנטו מלכה מלך מלכיה אוי בגבולתך שימה ישמע קדמה לאחריה שבוכי לשדה צפלה ונמשלח אליו קדישה דיברה כל נפשם אידין קדישין ובני אנוש חייבס בדו באופק שמיון גולי בעיני למד עולמיה אנטו מלכה מלך מלכיה אוי בגבולתך שימה יושבה קדמה לאחריה Oy 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 למקדשך טובו קודש קודשי נעשה ביחדו מלכים בנפשים יזמנו לך שירים בנפשים ושלם קרתה ושופריה קודי בעיני למד עולמיה אנטו מלכה מלך מלכיה אוי בגבולתך ובשים היום שפל קדמה לאחריה. Okay, so dearest friends, thank you again for being with us. Let me just adjust the camera. We're in a different setting tonight. We'll try to make it as comfortable as possible. So, just never a Shabbos these days that or I guess not just the Shabbos, but like during the week, that there's an excitement for the Beis Avram of Slonim. There's an excitement to learn the Torahs of this tzaddik, which we began learning his Torahs earlier this year. And I just want to say thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving us this thing to look forward to. And Alavai, we should always just, everything we look forward to should be Dvarim Shebekdusha. You know, the war, this war or this preparation for war, for this battle, that the Torah describes to us quite carefully, quite clearly. In Parshat Vayishlach, Chazal have taught us that the way that Yaakov Avinu prepares to meet Esav is Eitzos for you and I, how to meet Esav today. Now, Esav, the Kotzker Rebbe said, Esav is very tricky because when evil is easy to be spotted, it's not so hard to recognize that it's evil and you're more or less prepared for it. But when it comes to Esav is the type of evil that looks like it's the holiest thing in the world. The Kotzker Rebbe said that Esav would wear a shtreimel. Esav looked like the holiest thing, and basically the way that we see the shilas that Esav asks his father Yitzchak make it clear to us that al pnei hashetach, on the surface, it seems that en kadosh kmo Esav, and his she'elot are so b'makom. And that's why we need to arm ourselves with the proper gear as we go out to battle against this klipa of Esav. It's also brought down that whenever Jewish leaders would go out to war, or whenever they would have to approach people of monarchy while we're in Galut, and we'd have to appease them, or we'd have to somehow strike some kind of a deal, the leaders would learn Parshat Vayishlach. They would learn this Parsha to see how Yaakov Avinu would go and approach the subject as well. So these Torahs for us, the Dorei Doros, they're giving us koach to hold on forever. But why is it that I'm not done once and for all with Esav? It's a very interesting thing. Like, why is it that it seems that every year I meet Esav, I conquer him, but it doesn't seem like it's something that gets any easier at all. So let's learn this year something that from the Beis Avram that will help us understand what the milchama really is with Esav, and hopefully to direct us towards the battle that is inevitably happening anyway. In order to understand the Beis Avram, it's a short piece, really like 5-6 lines. We need to look dafka into Reb Nachman. There's 2 lines in Reb Nachman that I want to learn with you. So this is actually from Reb Nassim Likutei Halachot, and I think it's based on Torah Yudalid in Likutei Maran, if I remember correctly. I think it's based on Torah Yudalid. So if you could look at this inside, so Likutei Halachos, Hilchos Arla. I believe it's Perak Aleph Halacha Yutef. Very interesting. In the teaching, that's speaking about the Mahalach of from going from Purim to Pesach, and what we really are able to conquer during the month of Adar, and specifically through the holiday of Purim, the Alken, Hatikun bePurim. What happens? What tikkun takes place on Purim? She'az machni'in klipas Haman Hamalek, shehu hageut. On Purim, we cause the klipa of Haman, which is Amalek, to surrender. And that klipa is the klipa of geut, of pride, not holy pride, being haughty. The midah that we talk about almost every single week, the midah of gaiva. Ve'al yedei zeh, nitbatel hamachloket v'nimshach shalom. And when we're able to somehow conquer the concept, the midah of klipas Haman Amalek, which is gaiva, what ends up happening? Machlokes stops. Something we dream of. V'nimshach shalom, and peace. There's room for peace to come and reside once the klipa of Haman Amalek is done, the klipa of gaiva. As long as there's gaiva, there's no room for peace to reside. Bechinas v'dover shalom lechol zaro shemeseyemet ha-Megillah b'zeh. We know that Megillas Esther ends off with the result of the victory. The result of the victory wasn't just that Jews weren't killed. The result was also peace amongst ourselves. Ki zeh ikar hatikun. So friends, I want you to think about this very deeply. And I was really moved by a conversation I had with someone today about this topic. I was speaking with someone, we were asking them, what is your goal in life? Like, what do you want to do in this world? And this person said, well, I used to be in the place of I wanted to change the whole world. I wanted to save the whole world. But then I got more in tune with the fact that I realized maybe that's a big one. What do I really want? I don't want Jews to suffer anymore. That was the lashon of this person. I don't want Yidlach to suffer anymore. I want Yidden to have peace. I don't want them to suffer anymore. And it struck us so deep that this is something this person was saying. This is what their dreams are in life. It seems over here that Reb Nachman told us, Reb Nassim's telling us, based on Rabbi Nachman, is that as long as there's any gaiva in the world, which is what Haman and Amalek resemble, as long as that happens, it takes up space. What does it take up space for? It takes up space for shalom. It takes up space for there to be a way that we can be in harmony with each other and love each other very, very much. But people get confused and they think, well, the story of Megillas Esther is just the fact that we weren't shechted. But it's more than that. It's v'dover shalom lechol zaro. The klipa of Haman Amalek kind of tells you it's enough that you just don't die, right? That's what it makes you think. It's enough that I just stay alive. But dearest friends, how many of us are like, we've stayed alive without shalom? How many of us have gone through very big traumatic experiences? We've passed through major tests, but it left us maybe triumphant in the fact that we're not dead, but is shalom Is peace the totza'ah? Is that what's what's waiting for us on the other side? I don't know. So, but what I wanted to focus on right now is this midah of that the klipa of Haman and what he comes to bring into the world is that you need to be gaivadik, you need to be haughty, because that midah prevents us from being close to each other. And remember, Haman is mitlabesh b'mitzvot, Reb Nosson says. Haman, the klipa of Haman is that he hides and disguises himself in mitzvahs, like Esav did. He hid and disguised himself, so to speak, through holy acts, through asking holy questions. But that just brings gaiva. Gaiva means that I do holy things and I'm aware of it. Gaiva doesn't mean that you think high thoughts about yourself which aren't true. Gaiva means you think high thoughts about yourself which are true, but you think about it in an unholy way. So I want you to take that with you. I want you to think about that very deep. And now I want to go into the piece of the Beis Avram. This is the Shlomo Rebbe, the great tzaddik which we've been learning from for the last few months. Now look on the right side. All right, you see that Hatzileni na, Yonatan Razel, Ashrav, he made these words pretty famous. Hatzileni na, Hatzileni na, Hatzileni na. Please, Hashem Yisbarach, save me. Everyone knows the beautiful Torah from the Bedichever, Miyad Achim, Miyad Esav. It's not finna. You should look inside the Shabbos. You have Kedusha sleeping. You got to look at the Bedichever for these words. So the Shlomo right here is going to take us to an interesting Rashi Tevos, because when Yaakov Avinu is screaming Hatzileni na, Miyad Achim, Miyad Esav, he's telling us this the Dore Doros today, December 2020, Kislev Taf Shin Pei Aleph. Hatzileni na miyad achi miyad Esav. Hatzileni na miyad, save me from the hands of, is Rashi Tevos, Haman. It's Gevat, right? Hatzileni na miyad. Save me from the hands of, like in every door, we have to be saved by a certain klipa, but in every door, there's also the same klipas. And Haman keeps on showing up. Sheklipasa, who geus. What's the klipa of Haman? Gaiva, haughtiness, getting to your head. Shemidah ra'a hazot hi gru'a mikol hamidot ve'atavot haraot. This midah is worse than any of the bad and negative taivas, the bad and negative lusts, and the bad and negative attributes. Gaiva is the worst. Shebechol elu. Why? Regarding a person's hardships in life and the other taivas, he says, Shebechol elu, kol ma she'aseh tshuva, the more tshuva you do, umitkarev yoter lakadosh baruch hu, the closer you really get to God, mitrachek yoter mita'avotav umidotav haraot. Let's say the midah is I abuse lashon hara. I abuse my mouth. The more that I'm conscious and I'm aware that I'm working on lashon hara, and the more that I'm actually working on it, the closer I feel to the Ribono Shel Olam. And the further I am from that being a taiva that sucks me in. And it's so hard. It just doesn't end this taiva. But when it comes to haughtiness, it's so tricky. Why? Because the higher you get, when you refrain from other taivas, what's the problem? Mitmale libo od yoter. You start noticing, hey, I'm pretty good at conquering that. I'm pretty decent at conquering that midah and that midah. What's the problem? That it starts getting to your head. Ube'einav hu kvar tzaddik. It's just so deep. Umitga'e yoter. You see, on the one hand, I have to work on refraining from things I know I should refrain from, but there's a cost. What's the price? The price is that the more I'm aware of it, the more I feel closer to Hashem, the more subconsciously I'm already coming up to self-declaring or self-titling the concept of tzaddik on me. I can't believe it. Look at what I've done. And what's so interesting is what's the emes? If I've really conquered Lashon Hara, it's something to be proud of, right? But this is the trick here. It's such a thin line between holy pride and absolutely tumadika pride, unholy pride. And it's such a thin line because at what moment do you cross over from acknowledging your successes to the klipa of thinking you already got there? This is the klipa of Haman. Velachen, he continues over here, etzel mi shenechshal b'te'avot, by a person who's nechshal, who falls in different types of lusts. So it says, Ne'emar alav. So Hashem says, Ani Hashem shochen itam betoch tumatam. I'm the Ribono Shel Olam that dwells with people within their tumah. Meaning, the Ribono Shel Olam says, I know you feel like you fell so far, but even there, I see you fall. You see you fell, but I'm there with you, and I'm going to pull you out of there. But there's one thing that Hashem doesn't say that about. Well, midas hageus, meaning regarding gaiva, amru chazal, shakadosh baruch hu omer alav, ein ani vehu yecholim ladur yachad. When someone falls into gaiva, he doesn't feel bad. There's no place for remorse. He actually feels really good, but he's so shakua. He's so sunk into gaiva. Chazal say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says about the midah of gaiva, listen, this is what you're into. Until you're out of here, there's no room for me to be in here because there's no room for me. There's no leiv nishbar. There's no broken heart. There's no moment of recognition that I need to change my ways. So with the other taivas that I fell, I feel really bad about it. And I don't think I'm such a gewalt. So Hashem says, Ani Hashem shochen itam betoch tumatam. But regarding the midah of gaiva, when you fall in gaiva, it's like Esav. You think you're more worthy than anything in the world. Remember how we learned the difference between Yaakov and Esav? Was the thought of self-worth. The reason why Rivka had to convince Yaakov that he should get the brachas from Esav and not Yitzchak, not Esav, and why she had to work so hard to convince him wasn't because he was scared of Esav. It's because he didn't feel like he was worthy for such illustrious brachas. What's the difference between him and Esav? Is that if you'd ask Esav, are you worthy for the brachas or not? He would say, is there anyone that's more worthy than me? Right? So here the Chazal tell us that Hashem sees someone that's stuck in the self-worth, gewalt, am I worthy of it? God says, En ani vehu yecholim ladur yachad. We can't be roommates. There's no room for me in this apartment. So okay, Lamaisa, bottom line, it's such a tricky thing. What's the answer to figuring out the fine line between unholy pride and holy pride? I'm proud of my accomplishments, but I don't think I'm there yet. How do you become saved? And obviously, this is the question of how do you become an anav? How do you become an anav? So he ends off here and he says, Vel midazu ein etza. There's no tricks. There's no real guidance. Only one thing. Rak levakesh rachamim mirubim lehinatzel mize. The only thing you could do is have enough guts to beg the Ribono Shel Olam to be saved from falling into this trap. En mashu acher. There's nothing else. Friends, I want you to remember a very, very important story. I think we've said it a million times, but it seems to me like it's more shayach tonight than ever. When the Baal Shem Tov was about to pass away, and the Chassidim came to the Baal Shem Tov and asked him, Rebbe, who's going to take over? Who's going to take over once you're not with us? So the Baal Shem Tov says, the one that teaches you how to become anav, the secret of being humble, that's the one. That's the one that's gonna fill my spot. Okay. So they start interviewing a bunch of different rabbis. They start asking all these different tzaddikim, what are your thoughts about Anava? And everyone's giving different eitzas and different Kabbalistic secrets. And I don't know. I have no idea what they said, but based on the stories, it said each one had another eitzah, right? So they came to the Maggid of Mizrich, and I'm very excited for two reasons right now to mention his name. One is because obviously his Yortzeit is this Shabbos. The Heilige Maggid, Reb Dov Ber of Mizrich, and Yotes Kislev is his actual Yortzeit. And also because I'm sure you saw the report today that came out that they found the original shul of the Maggid of Mizrich. In fact, in the town Rubna, where he held court before he became Rebbe and after, that is where he sat with the 5 main Talmidim. There was a mikveh on the bottom floor. And the stories that happened in there, like the Alter Rebbe said about him being in the shul of the Maggid of Mizrich, miracles were flying, jumping off the walls. We just didn't have time to grab them. That's what he said. In that shul, basically the only structure, oh, of course, we're going there next trip. It's not a shayla. In that structure, basically, they discovered there's a shliach there. His name is, get this, Reb Schneier Schneerson. That's his name. Pretty cool name, like John Johnson, but not, right? So Reb Schneier Schneerson, he was in a shul in Rubno. He basically is the shliach there, and he has access to a shul. And they've been davening there for a while. And basically, this is the only structure that the Germans didn't destroy. But he started noticing all these different things there and documentations, which led him to do more and more research to see, is this actually the shul of the Maggid of Mizrich? He did months and months, if not a few years, of deep research into the matter. If you want the article, I could send it to you. And they figured out that the shul, the only structure that's still there, and the place that they are davening in today, is the actual shul of the Maggid of Mizrich. And you can see traces of an old mikveh as you walk inside. This is the mikveh, the Alter Rebbe, Rebbe Levi Yitzchak, the Naimeli Melech, the Rebbe Zusher, Rebbe Shmelke of Nikolsburg, the Chernobler would toivel in before they would learn. Crazy. So mentioning his name right now is very exciting to me. Back to the story. When the Hasidim came and asked Reb Dov Ber of Mizrich, how do you attain humility? His answer answered them and basically calmed their hearts and clarified for them with whom to proceed. What did he say? He said, there's nothing you can do about this one. You just got to beg God that he should have compassion on you to be saved from the midah of gaiva. Then they said, this is the leader. When we go back into this piece of the Beis Avram, if you go back into it, you see what's the last line over there? It's the same exact line. The Beis Avram said, En Eitzah. There's really, Yaakov Avinu was showing us when he said, Hatzileini na miyad. He's not saying to Hashem, teach me how, give me tricks how to beat Esav, teach me tricks how to overcome Gaiva. Yaakov Avinu screamed, Hatzileini na. Please, Hashem, just save me. I'm begging you. Have compassion. Just save me. And the Eitzah remains emes and true today too. Hatzileini na miyad. Save me from the hands of fill in the blank in every generation. But the Rashi Tevos, Hatzileini na miyad Haman, that never changes. No, that never changes. To be able to know the fine line between pride over accomplishments that don't get to our head so much, don't think that Esav's not right there saying, aha, I got you now. No way. So I give us all a bracha, a strong bracha of this Shabbos Vayishlach, that each of us have a big krechts of Hatzileini na. The schus of the Alter Rebbe, the schus of Yotes Kislev, the schus of the Mamshich of the Baal Shem, of the Maggid of Mizrich, and his Hilula, his Yortzeit. And the schus of so many of us that just don't want to give up, no matter what, no matter what. Give each other koyach to scream out, Hatzileinina, please Hashem Yisbarach. You know that there's no way that I could come up with tachlis eitzas to be saved from this klipa. I'm holding on to Yisrael Saba, I'm holding on to my Zaydi Yaakov, and together we're screaming to you, Hatzileinina miyad achi miyad Esav. Save me from that klipa that disguises itself as if it's my brother and it wants for my best, because it tells me, you've been in the dumps too long. You have to stop self-persecuting yourself. It's time to take yourself more lightly and mechabed yourself. And that voice sounds so right. Yeah, he's right. I could save so much money on therapy if I just stop self-persecuting myself. I should start thinking I'm a gewalt. And that's the tikkun. Before you know it, God says, sorry, bro. Sorry, sis. There's no room for me to be there with you. Anyway, I feel very, very confident that with our chevra and with our learning, we can give each other the right koach to keep on going and scream out Hatzileni now like we never did before. And hopefully, Yisrael Saba, Yaakov Avinu in Shemaim, is going to, at that moment, we scream Hatzileni na. Yaakov's going to say, you see, Ribono Shel Olam? You see? There's still with you my children, my grandchildren, the grandchildren you promised me to have, they're still with you. Have a wonderful and beautiful Shabbos Kodesh, everyone. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos.